Marvel Entertainment is in a position that it never anticipated being in. Even after it followed the strategy of Star Wars, it never thought, those in charge, those who protected it, those who curated it, they never believed that it could become Star Wars. And yet, following the Kathleen Kennedy path has taken them to the exact same destination. Variety came out last week with a tremendous article doing devastating impact upon the entertainment division of the Walt Disney Company. And now we face the Marvels, of course, this week, which is looking to be a catastrophic failure. So bad that it's underperforming DC's worst flops. That is something spectacular, like a belly flop into the water from 20 feet above. Now, folks, we're all wondering, what will Marvel do in its new stage of crisis? Hello, folks, and welcome back to where Hollyweird wakes up from the travesty they've been in. The nightmare can end as we splash cold water on them, called the truth. Are we here to push them into an ideological corner? No. Do we want them to be more liberal? No. Do we want them to be more conservative? Nay. We want them to make money. And making money means, hey, stop being stupid. So, that's what we'll keep telling them, and we'll show them the way. Happy to have each and every one of you here with us today as we talk about Marvel in crisis. We are in a very big week for crisis when it comes to the Walt Disney Company, but Marvel is perhaps leading the way, perhaps not. We'll see what happens with the Gina Carano files. We'll see what happens with the Disney earnings call. But Marvel is certainly not in a solid spot, and they need to right the ship quickly, but they can't. They can't because there's a Hollywood strike, so they can't do anything. They just have to sit paralyzed in this. Gosh, what a horrible thing to be in if you're Kevin Feige and the gang. No wonder we're getting this stuff out about Robert Downey Jr. and the Avengers being brought back together. No wonder. That Variety piece really did some damage, eh? Folks, we're going to talk about the Variety piece now and just how impactful it has been. Just like South Park opened the doors on Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy, the Variety piece is akin to also that, don't forget, CNBC article about the C-suite. It is the ability now for everybody, the mainstream, the average person, to look inside the studios of Marvel and realize something is wrong. Just as damaging, I think, and as damning as the CNBC article was to Bob Iger and his crew, which, let me remind all of you, included Two Shower Bob and Petting the Hippo. We've memed that, and we're happy to continue to do so. But this is just as bad, and that's really saying something because that was as bad as it gets. This is embarrassing to Marvel in ways that, this will have ramifications for months to come. This, of course, out of Variety. We've talked about it. We haven't covered it in depth, but it's by Tatiana Siegel, Crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Major Backup Plans, the Marvel's reshoots, reviving original Avengers, and more issues revealed. Guys, what I want to talk about is that they don't seem to have a plan at all. So let's read just a little bit of this, and then I want to get your takes on just I guess this is where I would like to take it. We are watching people who they presided over success. You would think that they know how to have at least average movies and average plans, and they don't. And I honestly don't understand how this is possible. Like, I can understand losing your touch. I understand taking your eye off the ball. I don't understand Michael Jordan suddenly doing granny shots and missing everything. This is bewildering, but let's read it. This past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. For years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand owned by Disney since 2009 had remade the entertainment business in its image. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars, and questions about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. The most pressing issue to be discussed at the retreat was what to do about Jonathan Majors, the actor who has been poised to carry the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but instead is headed to high-profile trial. The actor insists he is the victim, but the damage to his reputation and the chance he could lose the case has forced Marvel to reconsider its plans to center the next phase of its interlocking slate of sequels, spin-offs, and series around his villainous character, Kang the Conqueror. All right, now what this all gets down to is that they have no backup plan. And it just goes on and on to tell you that there is absolutely no backup plan. It keeps going. Look at this. The Marvels, which opens in theaters on November 10th, will struggle to get the ball past the infield. Past the infield, right? At least by Marvel's outsized standards. The movie, which cost $250 million and sees Brie Larson reprising her role as Captain Marvel, is tracking to open to $75 to $80 million, far below the $185 million Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which took in, it made its debut weekend last year. Now, I want to go to you guys right now just to talk about this, because this is amazing to me. $250 million, you consider the marketing spend has got to be at a minimum 100. That puts it at 350. If we just run the easy math here, 700 is what it needs to break even. It's opening to 75 to 80, and it's likely heavily front-loaded. This thing is going to lose Disney hundreds of millions of dollars, best we can tell. This is another Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, and they have no backup plan. What in the world is going on? What has happened to Kevin Feige? I know we've talked about Ike Perlmutter, we've talked about Victoria Alonso, but seriously, I mean, you have to be the champion of bad decisions to put Marvel in this place. What is going on?
Well, if you pay attention to his book that he wrote and handed to Joanna Robinson to, flesh it out and make him look real nice, style his hair up,
that didn't last long.
Got him in all the best lighting. According to all of that, he has finally achieved his dream. He got Ike Perlmutter out of the way. He got reign over all of Marvel, including the comics, and now he's just high on the hog. He finally got Marvel as diverse as he can get it, and that's what's important. He got the diversity in there.
Except nobody's paying attention to it.
Right. Well, he forgot that the diversity. You don't do away with the quality after you put the diversity in there, because what you're doing is, okay, diversity is good. It is good. But you have to keep the quality in there. Diversity is not your excuse to just put whatever up on the screen. That doesn't mean you have no standards. We've all talked about the soft bigotry of low expectations. If you say this person is diverse and therefore we expect less of you, let me tell you what that says about you. I'm not going to say what that says about that on the stream.
Not great, Bob.
Exactly.
Well, it's like you said, the diversity is the issue. It's not so much the diversity, but where it ranks in the hierarchy of what's important to any entertainment property, whether it's a movie, a television show, or whatever. If you say, well, I'm going to put the ideology or the agenda above the entertainment, all right, there you go. That's going to be your problem. Anytime you add that to the mix, whether it's, we're going to add a black person, a Hispanic person, a woman, and you're doing it strictly for that reason, not for the purposes of entertainment, but because you want to virtue signal to the audiences, hey, look what kind of good people we are. We have a black character, and I'm a black guy. So, this stuff offends me because I feel, hey, if you're going to do it right. Make this an entertaining show, and it just so happens to have a black guy in it. That's how I look at it. But here's the issue. Anytime you add anything to the mix, it's like if you're baking a cake, and you add some ingredient to the cake, that's going to change what that cake tastes like, regardless of your reasons for adding it. So you better make sure that you add it correctly and you know what you're doing when you decide to sprinkle in this diversity into the mix. You make sure you make sure your menu is right, make sure everything is good, because if it's not, it's going to blow up in your face. It's going to taste terrible. Your restaurateurs are going to just walk out, because this has become absolute garbage. And that's basically what we have with Marvel. Marvel, it has just gone full into the agenda ahead of entertainment. The main thing should be entertainment, character development, story structure. That should be what is at the forefront. And then, yes, we're going to have some diversity in the mix. Nothing wrong with that. But you got to start with those three factors first. It can't come ahead of the entertainment, because you're just going to lose everybody. That's what's happening right now with Marvel. They've lost everyone, and they've done it simply because I think they got a little bit too arrogant. I think they believed, hey, we're Marvel. Look what we did. We churned out two back-to-back $2 billion movies. We can do anything we want to. Let's just go ahead and throw whatever we want to throw out there, and look what's happening. Everybody's checking out. They've completely lost the plot, and that's 100% on Kevin Feige.
To me, Eric, you're spot on. I do want to notice that Culture is joining us. Culture, welcome to the program.
Hi.
And, absolutely happy to have you. And Jonas, as you're getting ready to give your thought, I just want to go now to show folks how badly things are going for Marvel. In case you thought we would ignore this, oh no. Now that we have touched on Marvel, let's take a look at this. Folks, remember what we said about Ahsoka? Take a look at where number 6 is on original. Not making the top 10 at all, but instead making number 6 just on the original subcategory on Nielsen's latest ratings. Yes, it is the premiere of season 2 of Loki, coming in at 446 million minutes watched. And that means that it's coming in at about 60% of the season 1 debut at a time when Disney Plus had far more subscribers. There were complaints we had heard allegedly out of Lucasfilm that they felt Loki premiering so soon after Ahsoka had damaged Ahsoka because it had taken away some of the viewership. Doesn't seem to have been the case, or at least perhaps not as significantly. But I will posit this, and then Jonas and Culture, I want your thoughts as well as Mike. Loki gets less days registered on this because it came out after Ahsoka. It's only about, 130 million minutes behind? It actually probably, day to day, so 7 days comparison versus 7 day comparison, might be running rather close to Ahsoka. And that means that both of these series are very lackluster in terms of what they've accomplished. Thoughts on that one?
I'd say Loki's better.
Loki, quality-wise, is way better.
Yeah, way better.
Not the first season. The first season, the first 2 episodes were wonderful, and then every episode after that was drivelous propaganda. But this season's been average, and that's good. It's probably the best Marvel show if you just do this season on Disney Plus, which is not a high bar, but it probably is the best. But nobody watches.
That is a pretty low bar, but I mean, it also speaks to the fact that Disney Plus is locked in whatever audience they're going to have for these shows. Honestly, they don't have room. They don't have room to grow. They have the same audience showing up probably for Ahsoka and for Loki. It's probably the exact same people. And not only that, I think it'll also, since the numbers have fallen off so far from season 1 to season 2, I feel like maybe having that on display for them to have some real numbers, because we don't see the internal numbers, we just see what's coming out of Nielsen. But if that's the case, they're not getting the kind of viewership that they absolutely need to just grow. And what they're showing is this absolute stagnation and even loss. And I don't think that, first of all, none of it was sustainable to begin with. I mean, Mike can educate us all on just how dumb this idea was to invest everything in streaming. But Loki's fallen off a cliff. And look, Loki this time around lost me by the second episode. After the second episode, I was done. And
what caused you to abandon Loki?
Is terrible. It was nonsensical. It was nonsensical. He's great and all. Again, Hiddleston's fantastic. I mean, these are great actors, right? 2 of them. The balance of the cast is flat, and the only thing that kept me there to begin with the first 2 episodes was the aesthetic, which we've talked about at length. The aesthetic of season 2 was gorgeous, but everything else outside of that, it doesn't deliver a good story. I mean, I am not being easily invested in it, and that's something that you need with a good show. There's no hook. What's the hook? You can't understand what the hook is, because
the multiverse idea is esoteric. It's difficult for the average person to comprehend, to get into. It lowers the stakes because you don't have one character. You have a million of these same characters called variants. It's the Rick and Morty paradox, right? And we've seen what's happened with Rick and Morty, and that may be what's happening to Marvel as well. Well, folks, that about does it for today. But boy, what a fun topic it was. Not fun, of course, for Marvel, but there is joy to be had in looking at the things that have gone wrong and making sure that we in our own personal lives don't follow suit. And then hopefully other corporations will do the same. I have a feeling that for decades to come, what Disney is going through right now will be taught in business classes. So long, of course, as the business classes are not part of the academia at large of today, which is largely formed around, of course, ideology and not actually teaching much of anything practical or helpful in this world. Boy, what a strange thing we are in. But I think things will eventually get straightened out. Optimism, it rings eternal for me. All right, folks. Optimism also right now says, I think that you will probably click that like button. Boy, I hope you click that like button. Share, subscribe. And when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. We cover your comments. We care about what you think. Let us know your thoughts on this panel, this topic. and everything that's going on at Disney. And hey, if you want to share with us what you think will happen at the Disney earnings call, we'll take that as well. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, we really do mean this every time we say it. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.